a federal felony crime, they can bring that to that grand jury at the district court level, where the state grand jury and the county grand jury cannot lawfully hear that case because they don't have jurisdiction in venue. They just don't have it because it's a different level of courts. And that's the reason to set up the federal grand juries in each state.
Okay, so do we ask for referrals from the governor, or how do we just go about knowing?
Absolutely, you can do that. You can ask the legislature. I would go to the legislature and ask them who they would recommend.
Okay.
We want the people to have a say in everything we do as well, because we, even as we're at the federal level, we the people are the power. We can't do anything without their say-so. And because they are the absolute authority.
All right. Because of the urgency of the situation, Tim, Kelby, do we have a way of if people have a referral, like in a particular state, that they could send it up to us justices? Or is that a good time to talk about that strategy before we move on to the next point?
Well, it's really up to you. I mean, Nathan, it's nothing more than sending an email to justice@republicoftheunitedstates.org.
Okay, I would request everyone on this phone call of all the states to help us justices assist with that so we can get that done next week and get this out of the way, because we really need to move forward with this, baby.
Absolutely.
If there's anyone in your state that you would recommend, that you would refer, please send his name and his phone number and email address to, Kelby, would you repeat that email address?
Sure. The email address is justice, just like it sounds, justice@republicoftheunitedstates.org.
Okay. Justice@republicoftheunitedstates.org. Send his email, phone number, and name to that address. And it would be great if by Monday morning or Monday evening I would have 50 or at least 41 recommended referrals. That way us justices could go and start working through them and getting them called into office. And then the next step is am I correct, Tim? Then the next step, their job would be to go and call forth the federal grand jury. Is that correct?
The federal grand juries are called by the justices. Okay. That's their job, to call those juries into. When they do that, they authorize them to operate. That's
okay. Now, how do we get around of the possible perception? And when we open the line here in a few minutes, I guess we're going to find out how people had been thinking. But the possible perception about people having the idea that the grand jury that is seated is actually a state or a county grand jury. Can they dissolve it and can the justice then call it forth as a federal grand jury, or just how is that procedure done?
No, they already are. As far as our system is concerned, they're already a federal grand jury if they choose to be one.
I see.
They do whatever the people can do whatever they want to. I'm just laying this out for them. We have to have a federal grand jury to hear the most serious issues, and we need to do that. And we also need the state governments in place. I mean, all of this is important. It needs to be going on simultaneously. The legislators in each state need to get together and put together a government. All right. The governor and chief justice can be working on the states along with the legislators and get the courts in place. All you have to have is one state court. You don't have to have state courts everywhere. And then you can work. The counties need to come together and start. See, this is where we need to start signing people on, because they need to start working in each county doing this too. But we've been trying to get the federal system and the state systems to put together, and I've been trying to get the state systems together for months, and I don't know why it's not coming together, but I think that they didn't understand what exactly we were doing maybe, but this call tonight maybe will clear some of that up.
Yeah,
we need the state systems to come together desperately. We do. We need those governments in place. We have the legislators already. The state legislators are already there. Use them. Put them into place and use them. See, what people are getting confused about, I think, Nathan, is back when the first government was set up, the people in the states went to Washington. They had a little session up there for like 30 or 45 days and went back home, and they were state legislators. They were picked from their state to go to Washington, and I don't think that all of them went. I think there's certain ones were picked this in. And I'd have to do some researching to see exactly how they did it. They changed it up several times over the history. But the bottom line is the people that you elected in the state can also go to Washington when it's in session. The reason that it's been changed up in recent years is because Washington has started doing all this pork barrel politics, and now it's a full-time job. Used to, it was just they didn't have that much to do. They went up there for a month and then went home. You know, and it was over for the year or for the season. They might have done that a couple of times a year, and the rest of the time they worked in the state. And that's basically what we're trying to restructure. The people that are in the states tell us what to do in Washington.
So are you saying that the senators and the representatives, they are actually statesmen most of the time,
yes,
and when
absolutely.
they convene in Congress? Okay. So
that's the way the early fathers did that. They would go down. In fact, I don't know if you've ever watched any old movies about that and stuff, but it's interesting. They'll say the gentleman from Virginia stands up, and this is what he's got to say about something. You know, he was from Virginia.
Right.
He was sent there as a delegate, and that's what the states do: is they send their delegates to Washington. Washington does their business, and then they go home. And if you've got a properly operating government, they don't have to be up there all the time. There's no point in it because there's not that much for them to do. Of course, it's going to be busy in the beginning because we got to draft a number of things. But, you know, after they get that basic stuff done, they can convene sessions when they want to for a period of time and then go back home. They don't have to stay in Washington all the time.
Okay, good. All right. So that's good to know. So now we've got the number one step, and that is for everybody to send in their referrals to help us out at the Supreme Court level so we can swear in these federal district justices. And step number 2 is to pull forth the grand jury. And number 3, that's when we're ready to start dealing with cases. Now, do we have the enforcement behind that if that would happen when we start dealing with these cases?
Okay, and this is why Congress, the National Congress, has got to meet and convene and make some bills. Now, I've been asked for guidance on these bills, and I hesitated to do this because I want you to understand the reasoning behind what I did. It's the reason I'm talking to you about this tonight. Now, I have drafted some bills for Congress to look at, not to pass, but as guidance for them. And for want of knowing how else to do it, I drafted, I think, 12 bills that show the basic structure of what we are required to do to prove that we are a lawfully functioning government. Okay? Now, there's some of these things have to be done. Don't have to be done the way that I put them in these. I've just given you guidance here, folks, because I've been asked to give guidance, because many of the people in the legislature don't really know how to write a bill. And I don't have the only way. I've got one way. There are many ways to do it. It's been done 100 different ways or more. But the bottom line is I hope that the Congress will at least adopt plain language and simple bills. Don't make these 1,100-page bills are insane. All that was for was to give people something to argue about and to find loopholes in. Mm-hmm. A bill can be one page. A bill can be simple. I just give you an example of one that I just put together. It says, the Congress of the United States of America, assembled before Almighty God or in the presence of the Almighty Creator on this such and such a day, adopt the name Republic of the United States of America as our official name. As simple as that. That's a bill. If Congress approves it, that's law. And these are the little things that we have to do. This housekeeping stuff that has to be done to properly document our republic. Now, and you have another bill that we've got to define what law form we will use. Well, the Founding Fathers have already created a law form. Why don't we just adopt it and use it? You know, we'll have to amend some things in it, but we can adopt it. But we have to adopt it.
What was that law form?
We have to do it. Well, the law form they adopted was first the Holy Bible, the Constitution for the United States of America, the Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence was their founding documents. That was their law form.
Okay.
Those are the things that they used as law form. Okay, we can adopt the same things, and I recommend that we do adopt the same things. And that's basically the law form. But that law form is going to have to be amended in some ways, and there are amendments that have to be done. We can claim, and this is I don't really know how to explain this. And this is a maxim of law, basically, that I guess you need to understand, and I want everybody to try to understand this. If you live with your grandmother and grandfather and they pass away and you're in their house, you can't just claim that house. You have to go through a process to claim that house. Okay, you have to do a legal process to claim that house. It doesn't just automatically become yours. Now, they can leave a will. They can leave a will saying, we're going to leave you this house, but you've got to go down there and change the deed after they pass on and accept that house, or you don't own the house. You have to go through that process. That's a legal protocol. Okay. If I give you, say for instance, I give you a brand new pickup truck that I just went out and bought and paid cash for, and I got the title to it, and I hand you the title, Nathan, and you take the title, you put it home with your documents, wherever you keep your documents, but you never sign the title and change the name into your name, then whose truck is that?
Well, it's the other party's truck. It's not mine.
It's still in somebody else's name. It works the same thing with governments, folks. We are claiming our law form as the law form of our founding fathers. Now, our Congress needs to convene and say, we are accepting this law form as our own. The same premise in law as changing the title to something else to you. It's a maxim or a principle in law that the people need to understand, that we have to actually do something to accept it. It just doesn't automatically come to us.
Okay,
even though it's there for us to take. It's like having an apple on the tree. That could be your apple and that could be your tree. But if you don't pick it and eat it, it's not your apple. It does you no good.
That's right.
A stranger can come by and pick your apple. And this is what I'm trying to explain to the people. Okay, now, the Congress has got to come together. And they've got to draft these bills into law that say, we are accepting this name, that we are establishing this as our proper name. We are establishing this as our law form. And there's several things in there that I put together, and I'm going to hand it to the Congress, let them go through it. And you can throw it in the trash, or you can do it. I mean, it's your decision. But the bottom line is that this has to be done to structure this government properly, so I can actually document that this government has been structured. And that will give us the authority, because it goes back to we the people. Yes, Kelby?
Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Jim, I have a question regarding this before you continue. I like what you're saying. You said, I hear you make the statement a couple of times that Congress has got to come together. Are you actually meaning that they actually should think about getting together next week, or should they just send the bill and ratify each paper?
That's why we need their committees, so their committees can review these bills. That's what committees in Congress do, is they review.
Okay.
I'm going to send the bills out to the congressmen and let them look at them. You can throw them in the trash, or you can modify them. You can change them however you see fit. You are the representatives of the people. You tell us what you want to do. These are suggestions. I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I'm trying to give you guidance on the importance of lawful protocol so we can document this government. Because if we don't document this government, just like you change the title of a vehicle over, we've got to change the title of this land over to we the people. And that's what this is all about, the documentation, and it has to be done just right. And I'm going to give you the protocols on all that, the Congress, what needs to be done, and y'all can do it however you choose, but I'm going to tell you how it should be done. Now, I can't make that decision for you. That's up to Congress. The legislature will decide what they want to do, because they are the representatives of the people. All I'm trying to do is give guidance. So all of y'all that are going to tell me that I'm a tyrant and trying to tell you what to do, that's not the case. I'm just trying to help you understand the protocols. Now, there's some of you out there that understand the protocols, that are in the legislature, and you'll agree with what I'm saying if you do. And some of you may not. And that's where the learning process starts.